righty, well, we have another amazing guest with us today. We have Anne Kursinski. And so Anne Kursinski, she is a five-time Olympian with two team silver medals. And in 91, the U.S. Olympic Committee voted her the Female Equestrian Athlete of the Year. She won the individual and team gold medals in the Caracas, Venezuela Pan American Games. In 1988, and 92, she was named the AHSA Horsewoman of the Year. And in 95, she was the Equestrian of the Year. And in 2017, she was inducted in the Show Jumping Hall of Fame. So she's been busy even still since then. She's been releasing a couple books out as well for her successful book, Anne Kursinski's Writing and Jumping Clinic in 2015. She also has an online educational site where she can really help other people learn from a distance too, so she can reach even more people with her skills. So thank you so much for joining us. And now we're just talking about keeping our animal athlete first and the sport second. And I know that's something that's really important to you and what you do out there with your horses. Do you mind telling us a little bit about your what you're doing at your facility nowadays?
Yeah, well, I have a wonderful farm here in Frenchtown, New Jersey, 130 acres and 34 stalls and lots of room to ride in, rings and fields and all of that. So riding and teaching, still riding and competing, but more teaching these days. And also I'm actually an assistant chef de keep for the U.S. equestrian team to Robert Ridlin and helping some of the young riders, a lot of the U.S. young riders internationally. So that's been a lot of fun. So, but with what you're talking about, for sure, the horses have always come first in my career. That's always been a huge part of my successes. I'm fortunate to go to 5 Olympic Games and, winning at Aachen, biggest show in the world. And just travel all over the world with these fabulous horses. It's been a great journey, a great career. But I have to say, the horses' care and their well-being was always first for me, not so much the winning. And trying to tell the kids that today, when everyone wants instant,
right,
internet or, even doing this interview live with you, it's everything wants instant.
right.
And to me, it's the journey that is the most exciting part of it. And if you do all that well and your horses are fit and sound and love what they do, then they perform better. Then the results come.
Right. Yeah, and it sounds like, just from what you're describing, it's very important to you and your business and what you do with the kids, on the team as well. So just for people to kind of understand, so say they are working with their horses and maybe it's a new relationship or something like that. How do you recommend building a bond with your horse to make each other a better team? What do you do for teamwork building?
Well, it's really spending time with the horses. I have a private stable and I have professional grooms that look after the horses. It's not that they groom their own horses. And yet many of my students have had their own barns or do some hands-on things at home. And I do like them to be at the barn and to groom their horses a little bit, play with the horses a little bit for sure. To compete well, sometimes if you have a lot to ride, you do need a professional groom. But I think the hands-on is very important. I love them to hand graze their horses. I love them to trail ride their horses. I'm really encourage them to be with the veterinarian when the veterinarian's working on them, talk to the blacksmith, really to know all about the horse. Even with my professional grooms, to pay attention, how much water are they drinking and the hay and the feed and are they cleaning up their feed or not, but explaining that to the kids. And it's like the NASCAR drivers. For sure there's the whole team in the pit crew, but the drivers need to know, or the airplane pilots, you need to know what's going on. And the bond is incredible. What the horses do for you, you might be having a little bit of a rough day, but then they help you out, that part of it. So I'm really into that. I love the kids to know how the horses are feeling and or, as I say, talk to the vet, talk to the blacksmith, to know the horses intimately.
Right. And I think that's a really cool analogy you just made of just like a race car to a driver. And that's yeah, I think that's a really good analogy on that. It's like you're driving a Ferrari and you got to know how it works.
That's right. And more than that, of course, but the best thing about the horse is it's not a car and he's not a tennis racket. He's not a pair of skis, he or she. And it's that I have to say the emotional connection and the very top riders there, I got to tell you, there's a connection there. Even when you get to know them very well, they practically read your mind. No kidding. The top ones, at the Olympics, whether dressage or eventing, show jumping, it's with the top ones, you almost don't see what the riders are doing. It's like imperceptible almost, the really great ones, because they're so one with each other, the nuances, the little feeling kind of things. And that's the special part of it. Honestly, this fabulous horse of mine, Eros, who was very famous, Australian thoroughbred, and I got him as a 5-year-old, and he just passed away about a month ago, actually, at 34. And to have a bond like that, and to go to the Olympic Games, he won an Olympic silver medal. We did everything from a 5-year-old all the way to into his 30s. Wow. I could write a book about his whole career, and but getting to know a horse like that from not only the soundness, but the again, his emotional character, and knowing when he was having a good day or a bad day, or how to get him to peak. And that's a feeling, and that's spending time in the barn with them. That's seeing them in the stall, playing with them, traveling with them, all of that. There's just so much more to the winning, to doing well with them. But it's in the barn, it's knowing them. And the horses get it. They understand when somebody's more connected with them or not.
Right, and when they care, and then you're investing time, even just grooming them, that's bonding time. So that's really encouraging for you to say that too. Just spend time with your horse, and just understanding, your bond between the two of you. And I know I've seen a lot of your videos. You have great training videos online too. And one thing I noticed that you do an amazing job, that it just really carries through, is how you can explain, like, not going overboard, I guess, with a horse. Like, you're trying to have a conversation with them, and maybe it's a really sensitive horse, and where the edge is of the tipping point of where it's just too much for them, and you bring them right back. And I was just curious if you can share some tips on, I know the videos explain it really well, but maybe just some tips on, like, just having a good conversation when you're riding with them. Like, what do you do to help encourage them to respond without reacting?
Right. Yeah, that's great. Horses will never think like human beings. They're horses. Human beings can learn to think like horses, though. You can. And, I had great horsewomen growing up, to explain these things. And of course, thousands of horses that taught me to pay attention or not, so you learn through your experiences that way. So when riding, I am always carrying on a conversation. I ask them questions. I was just riding a young one earlier today, asking him, he's 4, leg yielding, move off my leg, close my left leg, please step to the right. And these are babies that maybe an amateur lady, older, riding a maid horse wouldn't even understand. The horse doesn't know how to do it. So closing my leg, and a little bit, first thing, go into it. He wanted to, I said, move to the right, and he went into my left leg. And so through repetition, closing my leg, touching him with the spur, he even kicked up a little bit. He's being this 4-year-old, he's being a little kid, and he's testing the boundaries. Again, very often it's not that they're so bad, they're just being horses. Right. So I repeat, repetition with my leg, close my leg, touch with the spur. Again, he went into it, even at one point wanted to stop and back up. I keep touching him with my spur, not killing him, not attacking him, not putting a mark on him, more like a dripping faucet on a rock. I'm just going to sit here. I have all day again. So there's no, I'm not aggressive or anything. I'm just asking a question. And then finally, when he would step away from it, then I lighten the pressure. Then I lighten the spur stops, everything stops. And through that repetition, they get it. It's consistent. Again, the repetition has to be consistent, not that, you just beat him up because he's not giving me the right answer. Or part of the time, if you put your leg on, it's okay that they don't have the right response. So it's a consistent asking questions and repeating it, repeating it and rewarding. Uh, and always looking for a chance to reward. I have to say, I'm big on reward. It's not so much the pressure or the punishment.
Right.
What they learn from is the reward when you lighten the pressure.
Right.
And in no time, he was leg yielding both directions. Occasionally he'd stop and think about it. But again, you have to put yourself in their shoes. He's a little kid, a little kid, they're testing their boundaries. And yet he was sweet and he got it. So it's coming from the horse's point of view, I have to say, put yourself in the horse's shoes, when things are going well, but also when things aren't going so well, like I say, not moving off the leg or not getting the lead change, things like that. Try to come from the horse's, why is that happening? Because, you're pulling on one rein or you're not using your leg properly, but what is the horse getting from your signal, from your message, from your question? And are you being clear and are you being consistent? And then it's fun. It's fun working with them. Again, it's not a big, powerful me overpowering them. It's fun. To me, it's way more Zen-like. It's working with the horse. The idea of becoming one with the horse. I know that sounds corny, but I totally get that, and have done it for years.
Right, absolutely. And that makes complete sense. And just building that relationship so you're one with the horse. I don't know if you think it sounds corny, but it's just how you can say it out loud of like what you're doing. Like you just are trying to build a connection without talking. It's just you're kind of reading each other's minds and putting each other in each other's shoes, you can say. So I think that's really interesting. And I know in your videos, you do a really good job of kind of showing where the tipping point is and just, the release of pressure. And I think that's really cool. It's kind of hard to just, unless you do it, it's a feel. You
got it. Feeling is so important with riding, and it is a feeling. It's a feeling. And sometimes, with horses, you do have to be strong. I have to say, sometimes, some horses, you want it to halt or it's galloping and you're going to stop it. Sometimes you do have to be strong. They in the field with other horses. I mean, how they communicate, they do bite and they kick or they pin their ears and make faces. I mean, if you really study them in the wild, we humanize them a bit, but they really are these wild animals. We domesticate them, whatever you want to say. So sometimes, yes, you might have to jerk one to pull it up because he's really not listening, or like a little kid also trying to stop this big horse, give it a jerk and get his attention but then it's to be clear with the message. You might have to be strong. Like I say, a horse in the field, the mare the head mare wants the gelding to move. Maybe she has to kick him a little bit, but to get his attention. But anyway, you might have to jerk him once or twice, but then the aid should get lighter. Get your point across, make sure the horse understands your clear communication. And then there's the reward, the release so they do understand that the whole ride isn't, you're mad at them and you're at them and you're bugging them and you're, all that stuff. There has to be the reward, and it has to be fun for the horse too. That really is the cool part of it, Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And like what you're saying too, like if you're firm with them, but it means something. It's not just they understand, like you it's the release on like you have to be firm with them. It's the release and it means something. It's like you gave them a warning. I don't know what your standards are on that, but we do like ask, demand, kind of idea. And so you are having a conversation with them and it's just being firm, like, you're just asking, and then this is the demand, and then your release.
Exactly.
Any response, just so it's a conversation. And that, I don't know if that's something that is what you do, but I know what you do works. So.
Well, it's been successful. The communication with them, and that's the fun part of it. Really getting inside the horses, and so that they love their jobs and they want to do well. And whether they're a hunter or a jumper or just an amateur ladies horse riding around, or going to the Olympics, and each horse has its own character. Like people, some Arrows, my Olympic horse, he was a real character in the barn, and he'd kick a little bit and he'd bite a little bit, but he was a top athlete. And if you didn't pay attention to that, he was like Muhammad Ali, it was just great. Then of course I have the lower level, adult hunter types. They're sweet and kind, and that's their job in life, and it's great, and the owners love them for what they do. Also, so finding what the best job is for the horse, and then watching them grow and feel good about what they do, and have good performances. That's what it's all about.
Right. And that's a good way of putting it too. It's because there's different horses for different sports too. So like you saying, like more mellow horses might be for another. I mean, generally speaking, you can have a mellow horse do a great job in the Olympics, but
yes, but
there's usually like, just from my perspective, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. It's eventer horses generally, and like jumping, they're more, not so much, they don't want to be pet so much, they are more on job focused. But I don't know, that might be personality, individuality on that. But I think that's interesting how you mentioned that. It's just different demeanors, and you get different responses in what you're doing too.
That's right. Yeah, just like people, some want to do dressage. Some riders love to do dressage and work on that. The eventers are a whole different character, galloping cross country, and Yahoo sort of, show jumpers are a little bit in the middle, it's, and the hunter people, that like to go around and look beautiful. And it's great. It's great. There's something for everybody. And it's amazing that horses can do all of that for us. Yeah,
it really is amazing that, we're building a relationship with them, and they're doing the work of jumping over the jump, or they're doing something for you.
Yes.
And I think it's really nice that we have that bond with our animals too. So
absolutely. Yeah. What they give to us in all the different stages of life, little girls, little boys, learning confidence and sort of a sense of power, and with these great big animals and things, how amazing they are, I think, for little kids. And then also older people that ride, that just love also the horses. I think for some it's fun to see some of the amateurs, they actually become more childlike when they're on the horses, also what horses can do for people. Along with, there are great horses in therapeutic programs that really get that are this whole other level that really help handicap people. They really are amazing beings. What horses do for us, sort of healing on many levels. So many things they do for people.
And it's just amazing, and it's just the bond that we can have with them. And even in the century we're in now, it's amazing. We use cars nowadays to get around, but really, just from my perspective, it's just bringing the horse really helps you as a person. It's like a healing power. Like you're saying with therapeutic riding, anything like that, like going back to the horse, and it's just being natural, and just spending time with them. I think that's just important in our DNA of they really did help us, in history, and it's to give them the respect they deserve. I think that's something important too. I have a question for you, Anne. So I think that people would love to hear, because of your successes out in the industry and what you've done. If you were to go back, is there any tips that you recommend from the beginning of your riding career? Like, what would you say is one of the most pivotal points that you could think of as a tip for people? I know that's a tough question.
Yeah.
But, just something that's like the thing that stands out to you, like that's something that really changed in my profession. How you engage in the profession.
Yeah, I guess today my biggest advice for the kids and young people getting into it, for sure, it takes a lot of hard work, and it's quite physical. You might not think so, and it doesn't look so physical. Some people watching don't get it, but I think that you have to have the love of the horse. I think that's maybe there's some people in it that don't maybe love horses, but I think most people get in for that, and that's why I do it and still do it, and want to feel like I'm always giving back to the horses, even in my teaching and things. But I guess to my biggest thing would be to the hard work, it's really worth it to be open, to learn new things, to, yes, always put the horse first. And I think the hard work, there are so many people that come in, whether they want to be a professional or they even come in as a groom or something like that. Oh, it's a little hard. It's a little, the hours are long. I mean, that's horses, but to be good at anything, whether you're a top trainer or a top veterinarian, I mean, I've had the best that I've worked with the best in my career. They all work hard. We all work hard. The long hours, it might seem very, magical, and it is magical. I don't want to say that, but, oh, it just is this, you're winning gold medals or winning lots of money. No, it's not that. It's the hard work. It's putting the hours in. It's being up with the sick horse with the vet. It's being at the barn at 5 in the morning, many mornings, 5 or 6, mucking, grooming, turning out, riding, the long days at the horse shows. The people that really apply themselves and work at it, those are the ones that are going to go the furthest. It's not just that you're talented. There are a lot of talented people out there riding today. Very often the ones that aren't the most talented that work the hardest. Quite honestly, growing up, I wasn't the most talented by any means, but I was passionate. I was in the barn day and night. I wanted just to learn everything I could about horses, the care, the management, the riding, all of that. My little sister, actually, she was more talented. When we were young, she won more than I did. But in a way, she didn't work at it quite as hard as I did. And she did fine, and she was a professional in things, but didn't go as far as I did. So I think that part of it, don't be afraid of the hard work. Ask questions. There is so much you can watch and learn by being at the show. Even if you don't have all the money, watching, standing at the ring. Of course, you can watch tons of videos today too, but at the shows. And if you hang around the top ones and maybe you get to work for one of them one day, maybe, you're at you create your own luck by trying hard, being there. I mean, honestly, follow your dreams. I tell people that because it worked for me. I followed my dreams and I got to go a lot of places. But it was hard work and being at the right place at the right time,
Right. Yeah, that's a great tip. I mean, that's just an overall great viewpoint too, is just, you're just being positive and just doing what you know is right and following, hard work. I guess there's no other way of saying it besides just, you gotta put the hours in. You gotta,
yes.
Yeah. And speaking of too, like, I know you say hard work, but also for, working with a horse, there's a time where what would you recommend is a time to stop? It's a good training session and you should end it on a good note. How would you recommend, like, what's a good sign to end it on a good note?
That's a very good question. Generally I ride my horses about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour a day. And they turn out, they go on the walker for 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the weather. I think before I ride, I have an idea whether it's the leg yielding the young horse or it's a jumping exercise I'm working on that day. So planning out the warm up, and then really what the exercise or the question is, the test is for the day of that horse or horse rider combination if I'm teaching somebody. And I always look for a good positive note to end on, of course. And sometimes you're jumping the horse a little higher or maybe over a Liverpool combination or something. Something that's maybe new for the horse. Again, sometimes it can be a short exercise. It can be, I'm like I say, we ride for like an hour, but the actual exercise, even the leg yield with the young horse today, I probably spent 10 or 12 minutes on the leg yielding. But as soon as I got a positive, I could really feel he was getting it. His response was good a couple of times. That's enough for today. Well, we'll revisit it again tomorrow, but keeping it short and sweet in a sense. I'm really one for a saying I learned years and years ago from Jimmy Williams was ask for a lot, be happy with a little, and reward often. So again, you can have big visions and what you're after. Ask for a lot, be happy with a little. Again, they have to get a reward and know that they're doing it, what you want, and reward often, that you keep them happy.
Oh,
So my schools very often I'm always looking for the chance to reward. Now, sometimes, you have a student and, oh my gosh, they end up stopping and have a little crash or something. You go a little backwards, or a young horse, for sure. It doesn't always go perfectly. The young horse gets, makes a mistake in the combination or something. Sometimes you have to put it way down again. But then again, you get them through it. But again, looking for a chance for the horse to quit before they're exhausted, before they're mentally flustered. So always looking for a chance to quit, getting the job done, but not going and going and going. Then it's no fun. They get mentally and physically exhausted. Again, as you said earlier, it's a feeling. What's the horse getting out of it? And then you build on it. And the best thing for horses is repetition. Again, that's not drilling them to death, but like the leg yield today, I did with the young horse. For sure. I'm going to ask him again tomorrow. I'm hoping that the answer comes even more quickly. Then we'll skip that and we'll go on to something else.
yeah, that makes sense too. So just repetition, and it helps build confidence, I imagine too, is just, oh yeah, I remember this kind of an vibe. And yeah, just, I love that saying too. Just, ask for a lot, accept a little, and and reward often. I think that's really a great saying. That's a good one in mind when you're training, and it can get frustrating at times. And just remember, this is an animal, and you're trying to build a relationship of just a conversation, and any reward you get is a success. So.
Absolutely. And to remember, there is always tomorrow. That you don't. It's not the old. You just stay on them till they get it, and it's sort of a beating up session. I don't mean really beating, but you're demanding and this powerful, whatever, submissive. Not that there isn't some submission, but I have the feeling there's always tomorrow. You get a little bit. There's always tomorrow.
Right, and that's absolutely. And just time, like be patient. It sounds like just being patient. Those are all really good tips. And so, Anne, we're believe it or not, it's already been 30 minutes. And I know usually we try to keep these around 30 minutes because everyone's busy. And these are some awesome tips that you've really shared with us. And I really appreciate your time. And you guys can all visit her. We'll have a link here with her website to visit her. And she's got great videos for training, and to reach out to her as well. So thank you so much, Anne. And if you guys have questions, feel free to shoot them over. We're happy to listen and hear what you guys have. But yeah, Anne, thank you so much. And we'll be talking soon.
Okay, thanks for having me. I'm glad I could be a part of it. And to help horses with their people is a lot of my work.
Yeah, absolutely. And we appreciate you sharing. That was some great tips too. So thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Okay.